So I had a little bit of happy news today. I submitted some pictures for this contest that the Indianapolis Zoo was doing, and my bear picture won. So my bear gets to be the centerfold for some newsletter that's getting sent out for the summer or spring and summer thing. So that was exciting. Found that out this morning, signed the paperwork and all that stuff. And it was kind of funny because I mentioned when I talked about doing it before that if there had been money or anything attached to it, I wouldn't have even bothered. And since this one seemed like there, wasn't anything to lose one way or another, didn't feel like I was overly attached to it, so I get my hopes up too high or whatever. I decided to go ahead and submit my pictures. I had, I think, 3 of them that I submitted. There's a tigress, an elephant, and the bear won. And it's kind of funny because the bear wasn't even my favorite of all of those. I like the tigress and the elephants better. I have those on my wall in an 8x10 form because I thought they were so good and wanted them. And since I was just taking pictures on my phone, it was no big deal. And they all just turned out really good. And then I found out there was a contest, so I decided to submit the pictures, and then my bear won. So that was all exciting. And okay, so for my synchronicities, I got 1:10 on the wrong clock and 10:01 on the right clock again, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's more to that one that I'm not entirely picking up, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, so the bear won, and I had to print off this form to give them permission to use my pictures. And of course, they're going to do what? They are going to... Sorry, I got distracted with a text message on the top of my phone. Use my name, my full name. Because Sarah Jones is so boring and there's a bunch of us out there. So I threw in my middle name so we can have a little bit more of an identifier there since my name's so lame. But here we are. Is what it is. So yeah, I will show the picture when I get the newsletter, I think, and get a copy of it there. And then honestly probably frame it because that's the first thing I've won, and that's really exciting. I told my mom that I wouldn't have even bothered putting the pictures in if the contest had had any money attached to it or anything. She looked at me like I was crazy. It's like, I just would automatically assume that I shouldn't bother because there's no point in doing it and no point in getting my hopes up. Well, this has been a whole thing today. So when I was printing the form off, my phone was kind of reluctant to pick up the printer. And I've printed several things off over the past few years, so it's not because it's not hooked up. At first it was because I didn't remember to turn the printer, or to check to make sure the printer was on before I got into the printer settings on my phone, and so it wasn't reading it, and then it took a while for it to catch up even after I did turn it on. And this is stupid, right? Oh, here we go. So I'm messing around with my phone. Did not ask for help. I said that for some reason it wasn't picking up my phone. And damn it. My mom was sitting at the table and she said something about have your dad help you. And I did not ask him to help me with anything. And he said, what's it doing? It should work just fine, right? And God, it's not even just a little bit. It's a whole lot this time. This is me in all my glory. This is why I wouldn't have put in for contest before, right? So, okay, so I'm messing around on my phone, and my dad's back there and like starts spouting off, well, it should work just fine. It worked for me the other day, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes, but it's just saying that it's not showing, or it's not looking like it's connected. He said, well, it's probably not. And it's one of those things where it's like the whole attitude of it was like, basically, well, then it's just not dummy kind of a thing. It's like everything except for throwing that on there. And it's like, oh, this. I sent my brother a message and gave him the rundown. And he's like, why are they so damn negative? It's like, I said, they have always been negative. I said, the difference is now we are not giving into getting pulled into their negativity as much because, you know, we're trying to protect ourselves from that some, you know, block our energy and whatnot. I said, so they're amping it up to try to pull us back in. So if we have something that goes well or that we win, it becomes an opportunity to have this stupid shit come up again. And honestly, I know this whole deal is basically the universe reminding me that, okay, it's been relatively peaceful for a little while. And yesterday I mentioned that I had invited my dad to the American Legion thing that I got asked to go to tonight. And I didn't want to, y'all. It was a struggle, but I'm trying not to be a total shit while I'm here. I try to avoid him as much as I possibly can, and I think my brother is a little more, he's had a better connection with him, and I think he doesn't fully understand the dynamic there, just from the standpoint of, well, my dad's got that whole patriarchal system bullshit in his, you know, he's trying to keep it alive and well. There's still shitty flag that needs to come down on the front yard. It looks like shit, and he was sending me some stupid stuff back in the fall when my grandpa was in the hospital, mom was at home, all that stuff, you know, and trying to rope me back into the religious bullshit. And I was just like, stop sending me this shit, you know. And we had a little malfunction at that point in time, and I said, and yet you still have, because he's talking about, one minute he will talk about this positivity stuff and that we just need to do this and this, and, you know, and then we'll go with the awakening thing or whatever. It's like, you say that, but then you turn around and you go straight back into the political bullshit and the religious bullshit. It's like, that is exactly what takes you right back to the shit. You know, and I said something about the stupid Trump flag that he has hanging up, and he was like, well, I'll take it down tomorrow. And it's like, well, it's still there. And it looks like shit because it's like, I mean, first off, it is what it is, but also it literally is falling apart and looks stupid. And it has been a topic of conversation that it needs to come down, get thrown away because it's that tore up. But it's still there. It's like, yeah. But he's all, very into the systems that are in place, even though he's trying to talk like he's trying to get out of them. And it's like, yeah, no, you're whatever, dude. But in my attempt to try to live peacefully, I guess, I cringed at the idea of inviting him, but I still thought maybe it would be good for him to go see. Maybe he knows somebody there or whatever, because the unit that he was based out of, I mean, it was for his one weekend a month, it was like a 20-minute drive down the road. So there were a lot more people like in central Indiana that were in his unit, right? Whereas my unit was up in Michigan City, so I had a 3.5 hour drive and didn't have any opportunity to ever connect with anybody outside of drill weekends. So it was just kind of, it goes back to that whole feeling like an outsider all the time thing. Yeah. But I figured since that was closer to his unit, maybe he'll know somebody, you know, and that was something he said. So, yeah. But after that deal this morning, it's just like, I don't want to spend time with him. I don't. You know, and I had this moment the other day where, you know, I was trying to focus on the positives and all that stuff again. And, you know, was kind of thinking, it's like, okay, well, maybe some of these people from my current life, because I've said before that whenever I go to get married again, I don't want my family there, or particularly my parents. And for a while I was thinking just anybody from, I don't know that I wanted anybody that was at the last one there because everything in me knew that I shouldn't be there, even when I was going through with it. But for some reason, I felt like I had no other option and was stuck in it. And I feel like that's a whole lot of the stuff I pick up energy-wise, where whether it's expressly said or not, it's like I feel it. And I know a lot of people probably think I'm crazy for that one, but it's like, yeah, I can read that dummy in there very easily because it felt like it was there and he was just refraining to be nice. This is the same man that called me a dumb bitch just a little over a year ago, so because he was having a temper tantrum about something. It's like, but then I was thinking, you know, I told my brother that's like, the reason we're feeling it more now is because we've blocked our energy off, so they can't pull us into the negative shit. So since basically they're seeing their negativity amplified, because that's all they're wanting to put out in the world. And my dad watched this thing yesterday. Okay. Well, not that one. As an example, my mom finds everything on, like, her emails. She gets the emails, she gets the Facebook posts, all the stuff. If it's negative, she's getting it. And if it's not negative, she'll find a way to make it negative. Like, okay, body positive celebrity posted a picture while my grandpa was in the hospital and wearing this one outfit, and my mom looks at it and says, well, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And it's like say negative shit when she literally didn't do anything to you. She just posted a picture, and it somehow you feel like you have the business to tear her down because she's not as miserable as you are. You know, and I said something about judgy much, and my mom's youngest sister was like, you know, but of course my mom pulled my grandma into it, so it was like this whole thing, and it's like, this is why I don't want to be around you people. You know, and I have, okay, my mom and her sisters and all their husbands still do the Sunday night thing, which, you know, after my great grandma passed away back in like 2010, my grandma and my grandpa decided they wanted to have everybody come out on Sundays and visit at their house like they had done with my great grandma. So fine, that became a thing. And, you know, it was not every single weekend. If there was something else going on, then yeah, it could get changed. If somebody had a birthday on a Saturday instead of the Sunday, we could, sometimes we would like go out for dinner on the birthday. sometimes we just have cake and ice cream on the Sunday, right? So that was the whole thing. Well, after my grandpa passed away, my grandma still wants to do that, and it's fine. But I've been setting a whole bunch of boundaries with energetically speaking because I don't want to get sucked into the negativity all the time. And, so my mom's making a big deal about, well, are you mad at your grandma? And then my grandma's thinking I'm mad at her or whatever. It's like, mad? No. Annoyed at the negativity? Yes. And trying to avoid that? Yes. So I haven't been going over there very much. Yeah. It's kind of weird because if I like my aunts and uncle, well, at least one of my uncles anyway, pretty well. But, if it was like a smaller group, I'd be more inclined to go. But my mom and my grandma are still going to be there, and they're the ones that go negative so drastically every single time. It's like, I don't want to be around that. I just don't. And so, especially my dad does go to those things, so I really don't want to be around him at all. And, my brother, we have some differences on this thing because he's thinking, well, because I've told him what my brother said, or what my dad had told me when my mom was gone all the time. And that started up a whole, bunch of things in our conversations. But he's been kind of thinking about, well, maybe it's not too late for Dad's. Like, dude, it's a lot further than you think it is. This morning he was like, what's going to happen if we leave? I said, honestly, they'll probably, they're going to just feed off of each other and the negativity. They're both in the negativity. Well, since they're not going to have anywhere else to direct it and, not be able to attack us in any kind of ways for not contributing, I don't know. But it sounds like not my problem, and that's, yeah. But it's I went from being all excited this morning because I won this thing, right? And it was a good thing. And hey, cool, I've never won anything before. And, then then there's the drama with my dad. And then, I'm mentioning this stuff to my mom. I said, apparently I guess I'm just embracing the bangs now. As soon as I can get them to lay where they're supposed to. And, well, probably got to tweak some stuff. But it's whatever. It just seems to be where I'm just going to embrace it for a little while. And since I have not had bangs in a long time, it's going to take a while to get them where they're supposed to. And then we'll kind of see. But anyway, I was in her bathroom because she has scissors that she uses for hair, and I had a couple spots to kind of tweak. And so we were talking about that, about the picture and the contest and everything. And she says, well, what did you win? It's basically my bear's going to be the centerfold. It's that's the extent of it. I said, but if there was money or anything involved on the contest, I wouldn't have even put in for it. And she just looked at me like I was crazy. It's in thinking about it, because I don't want them to take something that I do and turn it negative, like we kind of did today, right? So, yeah. So that's that. And there's a whole lot of other drama. The car that I have been driving is in the shop. And I have talked about on here many times that there was something going on with it, but it's not my car. So that was the big thing. It's just it's there, so I've been able to use it. And since it's a 2008 and kind of junky anyway, it's the one that lives out in the driveway. So, it's okay for my dogs to go in it and all that stuff. But the big runs here lately have been, to the school or to the cemetery, and both of those are local. But I skate at the school, and walk the dogs either at the school or the cemetery and all that fun stuff. Well, my dad finally set up an appointment to get it checked out yesterday. This is a different place, not the friend of my uncle that we would normally take it to. So it could be a lot more expensive because of where it's at too, but there was issues trying to get it in with the other guy. So my dad sends this shitty message yesterday. He's like, it's going to be $1,200 to fix this thing. Are you ready to get a job yet or something? It's like, I have a job. It just doesn't pay a whole lot, and it didn't pay at all there for a couple weeks for about 3 weeks because I had run out of time. And then for the Gracie respite care stuff, right? And I just said, I do have a job, it just doesn't pay much. And also, I am doing more than you think I am, even though you don't believe it. It's like, yeah. But it was just this whole thing. It's like, you know what? Just park the fucking thing. I don't care. It's not mine. Okay, my brother and I were talking, and my brother said something about, is it even worth fixing since he doesn't ever pay any attention to any of that shit anymore? It's like, I have been talking about there was something going wrong or going on with it, I think, for the past 3 years anyway. And all that's happened is, okay, on at least 2 occasions, he finally sucked it up and gone and checked like the fluids and stuff. And once discovered that it had absolutely no transmission fluid or whatever. So, okay, so that was the thing, right? But he put the fluid in there, decided to check it one other time just to make sure it still had anything in it. Other than that, didn't bother seeing if we could get it in somewhere or anything like that. And I still had to drive it. It's like, okay. I was driving it, and he and my uncle decided that it sounded like maybe the transmission was slipping at one point. Well, then he goes and checks it and it has absolutely no transmission fluid. It's like, okay, how long would that have taken to destroy the car altogether? So it's like, how much of what's going on with it now might have been a cheaper fix or easier to resolve had he checked it or, anything when I started saying, hey, there's something sketchy going on. But he just, he put the fluids in it, reset the thing, and then say nothing was wrong with it. It's like, okay. So if it blows up, whatever. But, we had a little back and forth on it. And I sent that to my brother. And, when I looked at my phone, like I shut the screen off, and then I clicked back into it, and it was like 4:44, and then it was like 13 degrees, and my phone was at 31%. It's like, I feel like those little synchronicities there, it's like they felt like there was a little more of an emphasis because there's this little shitty thing that was going on and, kind of feels attacking in other ways. And then I see that, and it's just like kind of one of those, keep going, you're not wrong. You're not on the wrong path still. You're still where you're supposed to be. So, yeah. The biggest thing is, I keep getting these messages here lately about persistence. Kept drawing that card from this one. Messages from the Spirits of Nature Oracle deck. But yeah, that card keeps coming out. It's like, you're where you need to be. Just do more of the thing. Right? So, it's talking about things might seem slow, but it's a matter of keeping a steady progress and make sure you're still working on it. and you are moving in the right direction. And then I'll watch like a Isotero video I watched last night, where she was talking specifically about it's not anything you're not doing, you just need to do more of these little bits, but also don't kill yourself on it or anything, and so like I was trying to do more regular videos, and there for a while I was doing them almost daily, and then I kind of fell off, and then I realized some of that negativity was getting back in there and back into my head, and yeah, and it's just as easy as, well, maybe I don't have to not invite them if I were going to get married or something. And it's like, nope, I don't want them there. I don't. And this is why I would like some things in my life to be able to have for me and be happy occasions for me. And no, I'm not getting married anytime soon. That was just a thought. That was the thought when I think back in May or June, I realized that I didn't want them at, a future wedding or anything. It's like that kind of a big thing. I would like to be a happy occasion. I just don't want them there. And this is why, because they will find a way to make it miserable. And, then I'm sitting here crying the same day I won this stupid contest that I was all excited about. And then it just became this little bullshit time for them to be dicks. Or, well, for my dad to be a dick and my mom just, Sarah, like I said something wrong because I told him to butt out. It's like, hey, yeah. He said, well, then it's probably not connected. And I was like, just butt out. I'm handling it. I will get it figured out. And she's like, Sarah, it's like, this is why I would never put in for things like this before. It's because they literally suck the happiness out of everything. And excuse me for not wanting that, right? So my brother and I were kind of talking because Gracie is going with them on their cruise because they don't want her to have to deal with my parents that much. Which I totally agree and totally understand. Because obviously I'm living here with it, and this is what's happening. So aggravating. It's like, this is why I just did the thing I thought I was supposed to do, because, they're not going to support anything that doesn't immediately benefit them in some kind of way. It's like, yeah, today I'm back to the feeling like, when I'm done, I'm done. And like, when I finally find my way out of here, I'm not coming back to this shit. But I'm sure I will have those moments on occasion where I'll start to second guess myself, and maybe there's more to it, and then the universe will let me just see one of these instances again, and then I'll be right back to where I am now, and fuck this shit. We're not doing this. Yeah. And yesterday I did the video talking about the deal with my two derby friends. Well, there's only one of them really, but the other one, I don't really say a whole lot to her. Like, we only talk in that specific group, and the only reason that group exists is because we were talking about two of us going to Kokomo to visit the other one. And then the one girl fell off and wasn't able to do it because she had family drama, much like, she's got a kind of relationship with her mom, much like this, but she's very much more connected to it. She's an only child, and thus it's just her and a mom. So, yeah. But, we knew that she wasn't going to be there because something was going to come up. That's how it works with these toxic family connections. It's like, oh, you're going to do something? Here, let me piss all over it. And sure enough, it's exactly what happens. But I don't think I think she would have talked herself out of it anyway. But anyway, the deal. Okay, one of the things I thought of last night is okay. I had this long tangent that I sent them, and like a few days ago. It was about my stress on Saturday for, basically my anybody else finding or seeing my screen name, my face somewhere else, just kind of stressing out of, finding it elsewhere when I wasn't expecting to see that. And one day I'll be less vague, but today I'm being vague. But anyway, I had sent this big long spiel, and then, the one girl responds with sending a video, and like the thing, is a woman dressed up in a dinosaur costume and all this silly shit. But, her husband's just like, "Are you done now?" And it was a video, but the picture that was on it, was the lady, or was a picture of this lady in this costume, and it just said the words, are you done now?" And I laughed at the video, and then I was like, and also, yes, I am, because I was done with my tangent that nobody got, my stress about, anyway. So, yeah. The other girl never responded, even though she had started with wanting. She sent me this little picture that said, "I'm all ears" and whatnot, and like she was waiting on me. She read through the first message and then didn't see the rest for a while, and then like it just kind of died after that, and it was fine, right? I thought about deleting it because it's like, this isn't people that I need to share this kind of thing with, because they don't get it. And then I just sound like I'm stressed out over something stupid, and then it's like, well, let me just feel further isolated, right? So then yesterday, I talked about the conversation malfunction with the one friend, basically because she was bitching about her husband and then pulled me into it, calling my self-discovery path a luxury or whatever, because I don't have kids, and she had her first kid when she was 17. So when I was in high school and set the intention that I didn't want kids until I got all my shit healed, because I didn't want to perpetuate this kind of bullshit, like she said that wasn't something that was available to her or whatever. And it was like, anyway, I said what I said yesterday, and I was kind of stressed out about, like, is this friendship just done now? Because we had some words back and forth, and of course all my freaking cancer placements, I go full crab real easily, and so I was kind of thinking about all that stuff. Well, while we were arguing the other day before it got calmed down, I unsent those messages, like, to the whole group. And so I don't know if that was a factor that maybe played into some of her, I don't know, stressfulness, anxiety, whatever, her concern, whatever. But I was thinking last night, it's like that could have, since I had started looking at unsending the messages before then, but then when she spun it around and pulled me into the conversation, that would have been fine if she was just bitching about her husband, but then she, it felt a bit attacking when she said that, my self-discovery journey is a luxury or whatever. And the whole reason that came up was because her husband doesn't want to work in a factory and all this stuff, and he plays guitar and sometimes writes songs, but he's not actively trying to do anything with that either. So she's getting kind of pissed because he's not contributing to everything. I get that. Oh, I very much get that. But it's like, you were bitching about your situation. Keep it about your stuff. Don't drag me in and like literally make it this thing where I'm getting thrown under the damn bus because you're mad at him and some part of his situation looks comparable to mine, at least in how you're looking at it. It's like, I don't know. I'm also aware, I keep having these other things pop up that are talking about the universe's, highlighting the connections that aren't meant to come with you. So I feel like that's a big part of what is going on with friends and family on this end. But yeah, I don't know. It's just so aggravating. It's like that was literally something that, hey, you get 30 minutes of being excited about something and then, oh, bam, here's this shit to ruin it, or to try to ruin it, or I'm not going to let them ruin it. I sent the release to the lady and all that this morning, so it's still my thing, and obviously the whole mood of the thing has been contaminated, but I'm not going to let it completely ruin it for me. I think this is one of those things, it's like, the opportunity to see what needs to go yeah. And I think all the complications with the car and everything, it's like, I think the reason it's as big of an issue as it is right this second is because, the universe wants to make sure I don't backtrack, because it is in my nature to not want to. I don't like fighting with people. And I try to be peaceful where I can be, but at the same time, trying to not get run over anymore. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, is just trying to navigate, obviously, there's no point in trying to hang on to this shit, because I don't want it. I'm tired of the toxicity. I hate living in a situation that's not peaceful. I do. It's like that whole deal with my ex-husband, like that. Like the purpose of that was to force me to have to choose myself, right? So I finally got out of that situation, and I am trying to navigate how I got into that situation to begin with, and it goes back to this toxic family shit. And yeah. So yesterday I was feeling kind of bad, because it's like, do I just throw like this whole friendship away with the, the one friends? It's like, or the two people. It was like, I haven't really felt super connected to them since I retired from Derby. And honestly, it was a little bit before I actually retired, but then we stayed in contact. But then I was trying to talk to them, and it's like talking to a wall, because like they don't get anything that I'm talking about. I just sound crazy, and then I'm all by myself, because like, who am I going to find that actually will resonate with anything I'm talking about? So clearly, let me just take it to YouTube, and maybe somebody will get use out of it or something. But if nothing else, it's a means of freaking talk therapy for me. So since I don't connect with anybody else, I can connect with my camera. And basically, I'm talking to myself, but I am talking. And sometimes people might find their way to it, whatever. But I don't know. It's like that's the whole purpose of this thing, is at least I can talk to somebody, even if it's technically just myself. uh, but I make connections, and then I can share them with my brother, and he doesn't always get most of what I'm talking about, but he is picking up a lot more than I originally thought he was going to. And I think part of that was, it's like I mentioned the other day that I didn't know if it was like something where I was picking it up from his energy, and I didn't remember if it was like in the past few months that I was just picking it up, or if it was something that I picked up a long time ago. And I think kind of yes on both ends. But, when I started like my whole healing process and doing this talk therapy thing, I had the sense that this wasn't his lifetime to awaken or whatever. And I had this moment of thinking about that and was just like, that's fine. But at the same time, I can't not share what's going on with him, because this family bullshit very much affects him, because it's something that he's been carrying around too. So, I started sharing with him what I was figuring out. And then he ended up in this group therapy thing that he had to do, and was realizing how much of it linked back to like the toxic stuff with our family. And so he has been being able to block his energy from some of their shit too, which of course, like I said, pisses them off that much more, because now they can't just drag us into the bullshit. And it's like, I don't want that anymore. And it sucks having to live here with it, but for now, this is where I'm at. And I guess I feel like this today is kind of emphasizing that point of being persistent in doing the things I know I'm supposed to be doing more, and not allowing myself to backtrack out of them just because, well, right now it's okay. Last time I looked at my phone, it was 12 degrees outside with a real feel of 1. So there's no way I'm doing this outside. And obviously I can't sit in the car. So I got to figure out doing it in the house even, right? And right now it's fine because I took their dog to the vet. And yeah. But I'm going to have to figure out how to make this a regular thing, even if they are home. So I think that's kind of one of the things the universe is pushing me on, is this has to happen. And this, even if it's not a thing that ever gets me anywhere in particular, it has gotten a lot of this shit out of my system. So that's helpful. And, like this whole painting my room situation. There's my tree. Yeah, my room's a hot mess, but yeah, and I gotta like get rid of stuff. But my wall. Yeah, they're all different, but just come over here with this wall. This is probably my favorite wall, honestly. There's wall back behind this. I can't angle it down. Nope, I can't get past the picture. Over here. That's kind of... Yeah, my bird cage needs cleaned. And since I can't take it outside to power wash it, it's kind of not easy. But when I do get it power washed, maybe I'll show you that wall. Buddha's like, hey, why don't you let me out while you're over here? Anyway, but like, I just had this idea for doing the paint to fix the walls that my dad had goofed up with, getting frustrated at trying to hang my DVD racks, and then he puts like 16 holes in the wall trying to find a stud. And then we forgot all about that until I decided to have that put on a different wall, because the bird cage that I well, because I had a bird cage over in front of it or under it, but the bird cage was taller than the end of the DVD rack, so it couldn't be in front of it. But that was the better place for the bird cage. I no longer have that bird cage, and now that's unfortunate because I'm down to 2 birds and they're in a double flight cage, and I don't need that much cage. And the other one was so much easier to wheel outside to clean. This one, I mean, it's have to go down a 90-degree or have to go around this corner, and it's not easy for that much cage at one time. And I would need assistance, and obviously I would prefer doing things by myself as much as possible. I'm surprised my TV didn't get broken in the process of having it hung, because it is in a different spot than it originally was. No, I don't make it a habit of changing everything all the time, but I've been here for 6 years as of March. I gotta figure something out. This ain't working. This fucking sucks. But what was working wasn't working either, so. But yeah, like I had the TV moved, and he was having the same issue on finding a stud over on that wall. And TV almost fell that first night that it was up, but I was still standing on top of the dresser when the wall gave out, so I was able to catch it and it didn't ruin everything. And he did get it fixed, but not without a lot of bitching about everything, then of course he's had to help me when I've moved my desk a couple times, and now I actually like the setup in here, but I just don't like the fact that it's here. But, yeah. But I had, when I came back, 6 years, I think I'm at 2 birds now. At one point I had 4 cockatiels. At one point I had 4 of the Bork parakeets. One of the babies died, and then I gave the other baby to my aunt because she had talked about, she really liked the pink ones, and if I ever wanted to get or find a new home for one of them, and then I decided to downsize on what I had bird-wise, and the baby cockatiels found a new home, and that remaining baby Bork went to my aunt. And then, not long after that, the female cockatiel died, and then the male Bork died. The nice thing is, I took the divider out of the cage, so they have each other, and they don't really interact with each other, but they do stay on the same side of the cage quite a bit. Just have company in their flock. So there's that. But when the male Bork was around, he was super protective of his female, and the cockatiel was just a bit of a bully, so that couldn't happen. But since I'm glad I'm down to the 2 that I am, just because it's a little easier since they're both peaceful this way. But when I moved back here, I had 7 budgies also. No, I had 7 when I came back for the trial run on leaving my ex, and I think 1 died before I went back to Alabama, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, since then I've had the others have died off. It's I've been saying for a long time, as the reptiles and the birds die, they're not getting replaced. Gracie was trying to talk me into getting more birds today. She was like, no, that's not going to happen. I don't want to do that anymore. I have a friggin' 40-gallon tank that I'm trying to sell. Well, I need to repost it. That's today's project here in a little bit. Not entirely sure they weren't home. Doesn't look like it. I think they're still at the vet. they're working on cutting across our driveway today because they're moving water lines and stuff, and our driveway is kind of a pain in the ass because there's like this big long driveway that I'm not going to show you because it's my house. We live on this little private drive, and the people at the end of it have a construction company. So, basically people say it's their road, and it basically is, but us and a couple other people live off of it. But since there's so much traffic, they took a while before they got to cutting across our driveway. But like my aunt and my grandma, they got their driveways cut a while ago. I think my aunt was back in December, and my grandma was either early December or maybe even the end of November. But they're just now doing ours, despite the fact that we're all right here together. So that's the whole thing. And my mom made a comment about we could just park over at Grandma's house and drive across and walk across the yard or whatever. Well, she said pull in over at Grandma's and drive across the yard, which there is an empty lot, and we have done that before, so it's not like it would be a problem, except for the 10 inches of snow, so we can't do that with the car. The truck might be able to handle it, but more trouble than it's worth also. So yeah. But there's that. However, I think I am probably supposed to pick up Gracie today. Not 100%, but we did take her to school this morning. So that might be an issue. I guess if worse comes to worse, I can always walk over to my aunt's house and, have her go with me, and I'd probably just drive her car, because that my aunt's kind of just like that. If we go somewhere together, she has me drive, which I prefer because riding with her and my mom makes me car sick. So that kind of became the thing that happened, was if I was with them, I was driving because I didn't want to ride with them because it made me feel like I want to throw up. Yeah. But there's that. I've also been thinking about painting my bathroom, get more of this chaos out of my system, right? Turn that into a Jackson Pollock number as well. Because I've never loved a space so much in my life, and just because like the paint and everything, it's like I still need to clean a bunch of stuff and reorganize some shit, which is a whole thing in and of itself. But the paint, I like feeling like the chaos isn't just in my system. But it's like, even still, if I go to paint something else or whatever, it's like I still feel like there's so much chaos I have to get out of my system first. And like, okay, I did my tree wall. There's my tree. It's covered. He did my tree wall. I only did half of this wall, honestly. I went over to the window when I first was doing it. And then I've got the desk moved over here, and I knew I was going to do at least the second wall. I didn't think I was going to do the last wall. It was the big thing. But once I got started, it's like, no, I have to finish it. But it was like completely different every time. And then by the time I got to the last wall, or last little chunk of the wall, it was I was running out of a bunch of the paints. So, I still had all the rainbow colors in there, no worries. But this means when I go to listen to this video again, he's going to be singing at me. He gets really excited when he hears a cockatiel on my phone, because that's how I taught him some of his songs and stuff he does know. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up because I think somebody's home. So, as always, I appreciate you. Until the next time. See ya.